This is the Regained Wellness Podcast with Jamie Logie, episode 168, How to Stay Healthy During the Holidays.
250 strands of light, 100 individual bulbs per strand for a grand total of 25,000 imported Italian twinkle lights. Hey! 25,000.
Well, I hope nobody I know drives by and sees me standing in the yard staring at the house in my pajamas.
If they know your dad, they won't think anything of it.
Fire it up, Dad!
I dedicate this house to the Griswold family Christmas.
Oh.
Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
Joy to the world.
Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jamie Logie, I run regainedwellness.com, and this is the Regained Wellness Podcast, and obviously a holiday spectacular episode with Clark W. Griswold Jr. kicking it off. And I've done this before in other shows, but I think it's always worth revisiting about how to navigate through the onslaught of holiday-related food and events and the lack of inactivity. And, you know, if you've been fit, if you've been keeping discipline, it can throw things off. I mean, obviously, like, this time of year is to enjoy, of course, but just like things you can do to kind of stay on top of it so like the wheels don't fall off. It's not that like a few weeks is going to just undo everything you have, but it can kind of set in place. You know, you're like, oh, you're less likely to go to the gym or work out, and you're more likely to take the, you know, unideal choice of food at whatever thing. So it's basically just like, you know, a reminder to enjoy things, like indulge, but don't, you know, go crazy, ridiculous, overindulge. So some different ways you can manage that, a bunch of tips like I've covered before and share with other people, but I think are very helpful to wade through this crazy time of year. Okay, let's get into it. So I'd say this is just about being more proactive and kind of, you know, a few tools you can have at your disposal to make sure you're enjoying yourself, but not letting it, you know, not have you consume your weight in Toblerone or gingerbread at any given time. And there's a few things. The first one is starting out about working out before eating. And some people have the idea, like, you know, after a big meal, you want to go walk it off, unquote, you know, take a turkey trottle or whatever. That's probably, I mean, it's good to be active compared, like if you eat a giant meal, you're probably in this state where there's so much like glucose and sugars and things in your body that are diverted to digestion to leave you drowsy and whatever. Yeah. And it's good to like wake you up and get going, but the think you're going to burn off potentially like 1,500 calories with a slow paced walk probably isn't going to help. Moving is always good though, but you're just probably not expending that much energy. If you're looking at which way to go here as far as helping your body manage the amount of calories it might be taking in, working out beforehand is going to be the best way to do it. So when you work out in general, especially if it's more high intensity based, strength training, intervals, like circuits, high intensity intervals on, you know, like a stationary bike or like a rowing machine or whatever, something where you put yourself into that position, it's going to really give you a leg up on how your body is going to handle the food that comes in after. And when, you know, first off, if you're really like a good workout where it's a good depletion, you know, lactic acid building, really had to push your way through, your body's going to have to replenish its muscle energy stores, and it replaces what they call muscle energy as glycogen. That's your stored glucose in the muscles, and your body will need to replenish it. So after a workout, your body's a little bit better at handling, say, more inferior carb choices or more fast acting carbs. And in fact, those are the things you do want because they're replenished quickly, as opposed to having like a slow digesting, like a wild rice or a sweet potato, which are awesome and things you want to be eating, but they're not absorbed as quick compared to like those more like those fast acting carbs, which are going to replenish the muscle glycogen, and that's going to set you up for your next workout. Basically, what you do at the end of one workout is helping you prepare for the next workout. So so you're going to make more use of those calories as opposed to them just like sitting there. Your body's a little more metabolically active. Hormonally, it's a little elevated, so it's just going to make use and even burn some of those calories, especially like if you're taking in you want protein at some point. And just the act of what they call muscle protein synthesis, your body converting the proteins that it's used into, muscle tissue and stuff like that, is a huge energy expenditure. And roughly 30% of the protein that you consume is used just to digest it. Like your body is more metabolically active. They talk about like the meat sweats and things like that. That's basically because it takes a lot to break down and digest protein, especially if it's like chicken or a beef, or if you're a vegetarian or vegan and you don't eat those things. Protein still does take a lot of energy expenditure by the body. So when you're consuming those things, you're still raising your metabolism, especially after workout, because your body needs them for replenishment, but it's still active to burn them down. Compared to if you've been eating this giant meal and then you go and do something after, it's just not going to have that same hormonal effect. The other big thing, especially with like the high intensity training, the interval training, strength training, all that sort of thing, is it creates what they call like an afterburn effect. And if you're to do, say, one of the best and easiest ways to do high intensity interval training is just say on a stationary bike, start with like a 5-minute warm up. And then you're going to crank up, say the dial for the intensity, for the tension on it, say it's like goes to 1 to 10. You're going to want to crank that thing to like a 7 or 8 and really push it for 30 to 45 seconds. If you can go longer than that, you're really not going all out, because your body, maybe even like 20 to 30 seconds is considered actual high intensity in the body. Like you should be done after that point. Again, be careful that you're able to exercise in this way. If you haven't, consulted or discussed with a physician or doctor, it's something you just want to make sure that you're definitely healthy enough for exercise. But this form of high intensity interval training, it's going to be, say, that roughly 30-second period, and then you're going to follow it by like a 90 to 20-second recovery slower pace. So you can turn the dial way back down and just sort of like ride that out for the couple minutes. And you know what? It doesn't have to be, this is some of the information I've learned lately. A lot of like high intensity interval training programs are set and locked in at like, bam, 30 seconds, 90-second recovery, or, a minute to 90-second recovery, boom, right back into it. This doesn't actually have to be the case. If you're not feeling like you've got your breath back and fully recovered, take the time you need. It might be 2 minutes, it might be 2.5 minutes, but you're going to still be creating this really good response in the body. And when you do this type of high intensity interval training, you create those better hormonal changes. Your body is able to handle sugars better. You get more natural like growth hormone release, better, just straight up like body fat burning, lean muscle gain, cognitive functions. There's a whole thing to do with that as far as high intensity interval training. But when it comes to like this calorie thing, you're creating this afterburn effect, and it technically called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. And essentially, because your body is going almost into this like oxygen deprivation almost, that's probably not the best way to describe it, but your body's using so much oxygen to go through this style of workout where it's this intensity on this recovery phase. It's using up all this oxygen, and it has to replenish it. And the way it does that is by burning calories. And this effect happens long after you're done in the gym. So you have this afterburn where your body's still burning calories up to 24, and some studies say 36 hours after that high intensity workout, your body is still burning calories. So if you do this big workout before you know you're going into a meal where it's maybe some less than desirable items, your body is going to be better equipped to manage, process, digest, and not be completely overwhelmed compared to if you went in just sort of straight up. If you want to know more about the high intensity thing, I've got a bunch of episodes, podcast episodes, all about high intensity interval training, how to do it, different forms of it. It doesn't always have to be just 30 seconds hard. There's what's called low intensity interval training, some very interesting stuff. So if you go to the show notes, regainedwellness.com/168, I'll put all those there to go deeper. This is probably the real forefront of fitness. And people are looking for like the magic answer, like what works, what gets you fit, what loses weight. It's high intensity interval training, like straight up. And it's why big things like F45 fitness have become so successful and so popular. That's a whole other topic. I covered that as well too. So yeah, regainedwellness.com/168, and you can just go a little deeper on this. Okay, next tip here is to eat before you go to events or parties. And that might seem pretty obvious, but this is going to help you in avoiding diving headfirst into the snack table. When you're really hungry, your body wants quick energy. And usually that centers around, quick, very calorie dense, sugar based, high starch, high processed, higher fat foods. And our bodies are programmed to crave those things. Like your body craves fat and sugar. The problem is the version of those things we have previously eaten. The modern versions are so artificial and so full of garbage and calories and stuff that it just hijacks this mechanism, leads to all these problems: weight gain, obesity, diabetes, heart, the whole deal. So it's like the same way I tell people, if you're going grocery shopping, don't go shopping hungry, because your brain is what's hungry and it's craving that quick sugar. It wants that like glucose hit, and you tend to buy more items that are based around the hunger you have now as opposed to the proper hunger you should be building up later. And you tend to buy more inferior snack based things. And it's when you go, and it applies to here, when you go into an event, a party, a function, whatever it is, and you're hungry, you're going to go for that quick energy. Your brain just sees it and it knows where it can get that first. And then that's kind of built into why certain things you crave when you're hungry, because your body's become accustomed knowing, oh, cookies are going to give us a ton of sugar, a ton of carbs, a ton of calories very quick. Doesn't take a lot. You can eat them very fast and you're good. But because it's associated these flavors with, say, like vanilla or chocolate or artificial flavors or whatever, and then it's built that into your mind, so you tend to crave those things because you know where that energy is going to come quick, as opposed to like going for a plate of like hummus and celery sticks or something like that. So make sure you go into an event hungry, fed, so you're not overly hungry when you get there. And especially you want to have, say, that meal like an hour or two before, if you're worried about like over snacking. Like if you're going where it's a proper sit down meal, like, whatever, you can plan that out. But if it's something where it's going to be a lot of like snack based things and dessert tables and whatever, if you have an hour or two before a meal that's really based around really good fiber, protein, some real good healthy fats, those are the things that are going to keep you fuller for longer. So like if you have, some sweet potato and it's, you saute in some like, chicken, some garlic, some onion, you make a salad that's got good olive oil base to it, made up of spinach and maybe some kale and some arugula, mix that with some balsamic. You're getting all those things now. You're getting the protein, you're getting the fiber, you're getting those good healthy fats, and they're going to keep, when we talk about satiation, satiety, that's going to keep you fuller, and you're less likely to go nuts when you walk in and see all that easily accessible food. Okay, moving right along. When you do start eating, if you're at any of these events, it's not always going to be possible, and I don't think you should avoid all those snacks and treats. Like, it's that fine line of allowing yourself these things and enjoying yourself, but staying disciplined if your health and wellness is important to you. But I also think it is important to let yourself indulge, because if you prevent yourself, that's, now we're getting away from real health and wellness, because now you're stressing yourselves out over what you can have and what you can't have, and that becomes its own problem. So it's, allowing yourself to have these things, but just kind of setting the stage to make it as easy as possible. So the thing in this situation is, it's not possible, nor should you avoid all those snacks and treats, but do yourself a favor, and before you eat those things, have, again, some like protein or vegetables before you hit the snacks. Like if you've had that meal before, you're good. Like I said, with all those, the protein, fiber, healthy fats, water, whatnot. But if you haven't and you get to one of these events or parties, go for the protein and vegetable before those snacks. So this is going to help with a few things. So firstly, these food choices help you get full, like we just mentioned, especially protein and fiber. They fill you up. They keep you fuller. You're less likely to be hungry, as opposed to like if you eat something more sugar or, refined carb base, you have these quick spikes in blood sugar followed by the drops, which leads to more hunger and more cravings for the same thing. So protein and vegetables are going to fill you up, and they're going to balance your blood sugar earlier if you go to these things. So eating, the majority of all holiday, Christmas-based things are always going to be sugar-based. There's a lot of things and snacks that you only get this time of year, and they're great. But, if you get that protein and vegetable in first, you kind of negate a little of that over-intensity effect that happens if you just eat straight sugar on an empty stomach. So pretty much any event, party or whatever, is going to have some form of veggie platter. They're going to have cold cuts. They're going to have a cheese platter somewhere. I mean, cold cuts are far from an ideal protein source. Cheese has its own issue, or if you're, vegan or vegetarian and wanting to avoid that. But the point is, you'll be able to find some of this protein and some of this fiber in this form. So in this situation, this is your best bet. And it's, in any situation when it comes to nutrition, it's making the best decision in that situation. Some situations are going to be better than others. Some are going to be more inferior. But if you can make the best in that situation, it really sets you up better for success. And it really helps you in the long run because you're more aware and you're more conscious, and you know what your body needs. And like myself, if I go anywhere and say you have to buy meals or snacks on the run, and there's not a lot of options, I'm less likely to go for like obviously like chocolate bars and chips and stuff like that. But if it's really limited items, I know always, at least if I can find some form of like peanuts or almonds or cashews, I can eat that first, keep the blood sugar a little more under control because of that protein and fiber, and then have something that might be a little less, inferior than I would normally choose, but my body's in hopefully a little bit better state compared to if I just went in and ate that like, whatever snack-based high calorie thing. That's my go-to whenever I travel or whenever I'm anywhere, is just looking for things like peanuts, almonds, bananas, whatever. You can usually find those anywhere you go, and then at least get yourself on the right page with some decent nutrition before something that's a little less, maybe lower on the nutrition scale. So like say in this situation, cold cuts are not your first choice, but if you're looking for something that's like sugar, starch based, whatever, this is going to be a good choice, maybe with some cheese. And again, I can't imagine any event that doesn't have some form of veggie platter somewhere. So fill up on those things before you go into the tray of whatever gingerbread men or whatever it is. And that's also going to help you overeating those at the same time. Okay. Next tip, and a lot of these are like year-round things. You can use these all the time. This one especially is to slow down when you eat. Most people eat way too quickly. That might be you if you think about it. Like the average person is eating in like 3 to 5 minutes, and honestly closer to the 3-minute side. Some people are eating in 30 seconds. Like you can eat an entire meal in 30 seconds, especially when you're hungry. And then this is obviously going to make you consume more than you needed. When you've got a lot of these easily digestible, very palatable, very craved-based snacks, this can spiral crazy out of control. So when you slow down your eating time, you allow your body's natural fullness signals to reach the brain. Your stomach has stretch receptors and it connects with the brain, and there's hormones called leptin and things that are involved with telling your brain you're full, knowing you've had enough. But the problem when you eat too quick, you sort of override those signals and they're not allowed to naturally work. Eating should take, honestly, at least 15 to 20 minutes just for that mechanism to engage, for your stomach to tell your brain you're full. You don't want to override it, because you can picture yourself. You've done this many times, I'm sure. I've done it even more than that, where you eat so fast that you almost feel hungrier after. Have you ever noticed that? Whatever it is, it could be like an entire pizza, or it could be like a giant salad, and you wolf it down and you're hungrier and you feel like you can eat more because you haven't let the natural stretch receptors and mechanism to the brain let you know you're full. So if that's a case where you have eaten too quick, wait at least 5 or 10 minutes before having something else, because that's what really leads to overconsumption. Is bam, you've had enough, but your body doesn't know you've had enough. Then you eat more and more. Now you're getting into this like crazy, overwhelming calorie state, and then that's, potentially leading to weight gain and everything like that. So 15 to 20 minutes at least. Slow down, take your time to chew. Again, most people are chewing maybe 3 to 5 times before they swallow, where you should be like 15 to 20, even more if possible. Digestion and everything happens in your mouth. You have, salivary amylases, which break down foods and starches and stuff. So it's not like you just wolf it down and digestion happens. Digestion happens when you start eating. Digestion actually happens when you look at food. When you look and smell at food, you have these juices and enzymes that are released with the anticipation, knowing food's coming, and they happen in the mouth and drooling over whatever it is. So you have to allow those to work naturally. So keep an eye on the clock. I don't know if anyone actually looks at clocks anymore. Keep a look at your Apple Watch or your phone. Set up a timer. Be aware that you don't finish the last bite of whatever's on your plate or wherever you are until that 15 or 20 minutes hit. And that's going to help you get full naturally and less likely to overeat. If you're out for like a meal or a dinner, that can be a little different, but like that's the way food ideally should be. If you think of the social aspect, there's no rush. Like if you're out for dinner, it's an hours-long affair. If you're European or living or traveled anywhere there, the meals can be these like 4 to 6 hour events. Like I think of the time I spent in Spain or Italy, and you don't sit down, boom, and go like you would at a fast food restaurant here where you eat in 5 minutes and families are in and out. The meals are like these long, drawn-out productions, and they savor the food and they appreciate it, and they slow down their time, and that's going to naturally fill you up, depending on how much is available. If it's a 6-hour massive spread, that's a little different. But we're looking at that concept of just allowing your body to take its time, and then it's going to digest better, and that's going to make digestion and absorption easier on your stomach, less likely to get into things like nausea and bloating, gas, and all that sort of thing. So in this case, say you're out for a meal and like it's a work thing, at least be the last person to finish at that meal. So at least you've given your body a little bit of a head start on not over consuming calories. Like if it's like a Christmas lunch thing or there's limited time, you might feel like you've got to eat quick, but like I said, just at least be that last person to finish. Allow that natural mechanism that's in place in your body, allow it there to do its thing. Last tip I'll also throw in here is make sure you're hydrated. Again, these are year-round tips too. A lot of times hunger signals in the body are actually misinterpreted, and they're dehydration signals. They kind of have the same, not exactly the same, but they kind of have that same effect in the brain where there's a craving. But we're so used to eating all the time, constantly, like we always have food available, that we start to associate that signal always with food, because we're always digesting, we're always eating, we're always consuming, and we've kind of overridden that signal as well too. So before you eat, or you're feeling super hungry, you're going to one of these events and you haven't anything and you're starving, have a glass or two of water, and that's going to help kind of give you that ability to sort of fend off those hunger signals. Hunger is a good thing, but you want to obviously be choosing the right things. But if it's a case where it's actually you're dehydrated, make sure you have that water too, and that's going to kind of put those at bay, and you're, then maybe not as likely to just go crazy eating everything in sight, thinking you were hungry when it actually was the water the whole time. So on days where it's like, you're going in a big event or there's a big party or whatever, make sure you're drinking a lot through the day. And of course, alcohol makes an appearance at all these things too. So that can lead to overeating and consumption of excess calories, especially when it's mixed drinks, sugar-based mixers, beers. This is just liquid calories, which are just a nightmare in the body. I mean, one of the biggest tips I can give people is just to improve their diet and health is cut out liquid calories, because when you drink them, there's no chewing, there's no digestion, there's no absorption. It's just instant. You've taken all those calories in and you don't even notice it. There's hundreds of them compared to how much time that would take if you're eating real solid food. So when you combine alcohol and sugar, and it's just a mess for blood sugar, body cravings, things your brain wants more of that sugar. I'd say your best bet, your lowest calorie alcohol choices are going to be like gin. Vodka's not bad. Tequila's actually all right. And mix them, like something like a gin and just like a soda water is not bad. Throw some lime and lemon in there. You get a little bit of cleansing, a little bit of detox from it. You're going to, when you get into the mixed drinks and whatever, it's such an abundance of sugar that's going to make you crave more of that drink and more of that sugar, and then maybe more foods after. Then you tend to hit the drive-through at 2 in the morning, and it just spirals from there. I would say, if you're going to mix something, like if you want something sweeter, at least go for like a pineapple juice or a grapefruit juice or a real cranberry juice, something that's at least got some vitamins and minerals to it. But if you're looking to cut down on calories, go with the gin and the vodka and the soda water, and just keep it straight like that. It's going to be a lower calorie hit to the body and no sugar in that case. And again, making sure you're hydrated through the day is going to make that a little easier on your body too, if you're getting into alcohol later on. So go with the rule of thumb is basically drink half your weight in ounces of water each day. That's going to make sure you're on the right path for how much you need. And then as far as just like overall body health, it's, water is so important for everything, like digestion, absorption, circulation of nutrients, cleansing, eliminating toxins, and then just even like, mental focus and cognition and memory, and things like that. Your body just needs water. And most people are walking around dehydrated most of the time. So if you take away anything from this, half your weight in ounces of water each day, and you'll probably be good. Okay, so I'll wrap it up here. And like I said, I don't think depriving yourself is an ideal thing at the holidays. Not at all. It's just, if your health and fitness and wellness are important to you, you want to stay on top of it, and you want to like keep up the good work you've been doing over the whole year. So I'd say, again, another takeaway from this thing is indulge, but don't overindulge. Allow yourself to enjoy those things that, come around just this time of the year. And remember, a few days, it's not going to destroy everything. The secret is if you have these like crazy weekends of over excess in food, you're going to feel bloated. You're going to feel like, you gain some weight. You're going to feel sluggish. Just go back to your normal way of eating. If you've been, on top of your nutrition, your diet, after one of these weekends, go back to your normal way of eating. And within 2 to 3 days, things sort of level back out again. Your body's been at this state, and it's able to bounce back to that whenever you hit these sort of lulls with, poor nutrition and excess of whatever. It's just got an ability to bounce back. That's the advantage of boosting your fitness, keeping your diet clean, keeping healthy, is you're able to bounce back quicker, and your body is able to get back to that state. So 2 or 3 days, keep the water intake up, your regular diet, and things will even out. Okay, so that's it from me. I'll have some other shows coming, but I thought I wanted to do this like a little earlier in the month because this is when everything's starting to get up and happening. So thanks for listening. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up for the email newsletter because you get a free ebook when you do that. And it's called the Healthy Eating Starter Kit. So it's a good little guide on, foods you want to be including and why, things you want to avoid and why. It's got some recipes. Yeah, everything there. And you can get that by going to regainedwellness.com/guide. Just sign up and you're ready to go. And like I said, the show notes for today, regainedwellness.com/168. You can do all this all in one shop. It's like one-stop shopping here. And that, the regainedwellness.com/168, that'll have those other episodes linked up if you want to learn more about like high-intensity training and low-intensity training and how your body reacts and responds and stress levels and all that sort of thing. Very good episodes. Okay. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get podcasts. I should be there. I appreciate you listening to this show or even just this episode if it's the first time you've come on out. I know there's a ton of shows out there. So the fact you've checked this one out means a lot. So I will see you soon. Bye. So that's probably a good place to end it there. Hopefully I find this interesting. Hopefully you're just, if you're very well aware of Weight Watchers or you've been a part of it, this might not be new to you, but like if you've just had an interest sort of from a distance just to see what's gone behind it. So I'd like to thank Oprah and everyone else involved. So that's it. Thanks for checking the show out. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to it. We're probably on Apple Podcasts, but basically wherever you find podcasts, this show should be there. So make sure you sign up to get it, and then check out the show notes for checking, the different episodes I mentioned. So regainedwellness.com/166. While you're there, sign up for the email newsletter because you get a free ebook when you sign up for that. And it's a quick breakdown on, foods you want to be avoiding, foods you want to be including. It's got some recipes, whatever. So that, if you're on the website, is regainedwellness.com/guide. And then it's, emails I send out every few weeks and information I basically just share over email. So check that all out. And that's it for me. I'll see you later.